Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. We got a great one today. Patriots are 5-2. We're going to listen to Mike Vrabel on Drake Maye, not surprisingly, and also Rhamondre Stevenson. Also, we're going to go deep inside the numbers, not just on Drake Maye, but also Kayshon Boutte. Your eyes are going to fall out of your head. Additionally, where do the Patriots fit and how their AFC East hopes shape up after 7 weeks, and a look ahead at a fascinating, I swear to God they are, fascinating Browns team. But first, here's Mike Vrabel on Drake Maye from Monday.
He's very accurate from different platforms, whether that's in the pocket, that's out of the pocket. You know, there's a really good accuracy. I think that there's a lot of confidence. He's just an athletic quarterback, and by that I just mean that there's different things that he does. It doesn't have to be so rigid and just drop back, plant, transfer, throw. There's a lot of other movements to him that I think make him unique, but the accuracy has certainly been very good.
Here he is. It's the Senator, Phil Perry. Phil, let's go inside the numbers a little bit on Drake Maye. Now Mike Vrabel not throwing compliments around like manhole covers. He's handing them out. There's bouquets from Drake Maye. You have some more numbers to just make the jaws of the region drop.
Well, this speaks to just how accurate he's been. I think you could safely say that this game in Tennessee was the most accurate of his career. He had a 24.4 completion percentage over expectation. Now, here's what Next Gen Stats does, okay, friends? They have those little GPS trackers in the pads of every single player on the field, all 22. And so they can generate a probability for a catch on every given pass attempt. And they'll look at it and say, how far away is the receiver from the quarterback? How close is the closest defender to the receiver? How close is the closest defender to the quarterback? Is he even being hit? And they will calculate whether or not that pass should have been completed or not. For Drake Maye to have a 24.4 completion percentage over expected, Tom, is indicative of the fact that he should have had, in normal circumstances, about a 67% completion percentage on Sunday. He was over 91 completions.
So he should have been about 16 for 23.
I'm not going to do that math. You
Fair.
love to do
I
that
don't know
math.
why I
I'm
did
never
that.
going to even get close to touching it. But needless to say, it is very good. And just to give you one more big picture stat, can I add in a big picture stat here?
Mm-hmm.
This is for the people that are looking at me saying, can you stop it with all the completion percentage over expectation, Phil? Because I don't really want to have to pay attention to that. Give me the real stuff. Drake Maye is the first player in NFL history, Tom, to record 4,000 passing yards and 500 rushing yards with at least a 69% completion percentage in the first 20 games of their career. First one in NFL history.
And I keep wondering when the other shoe's going to drop. I guess that's just living here in New England. Or maybe it's the way I was raised. Or maybe it's the way I raised myself, okay? But I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe it's not even in the air. Maybe both feet are planted and it's never going to drop. And he's going to continue on at an astounding pace. And all the times we said, he's not Tom Brady, he's better. Relax. What's interesting to me, too, is when we do Pro Football Focus and talk about the numbers and grades there, they often spend a lot of time on turnover-worthy plays. Right now, Drake Maye's at 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. I talked at the beginning of the season, look, what can we expect for Drake Maye as an ideal season? And I think I was around 28 and 12 for TD's interceptions. I think that I said, if he throws for over 4,000 yards, that's a hell of a year. 3,750, you'd have to be happy and be around 65% completion rate. Blowing each statistic out of the water on pace. Isn't it interesting to see there not a lot of turnover-worthy plays? We're not seeing balls ricochet and then caught in a 50-50 situation necessarily.
No, he has 5 turnover-worthy plays so far this season, according to Pro Football Focus. That is tied for 23rd in the NFL. So, Tom, he's in the top half of the league in terms of limiting his mistakes, while also being the best or one of the 2 or 3 best in terms of some of these numbers that we're talking about. I mean, I was talking about completion percentage over expected for just the Titans game. For the season, he ranks first in the NFL. For the season, in terms of expected points added, getting back to some nerdy stats now. For the season, expected points added, nobody has more expected points added than Drake Maye.
In other words, a conventional play that should yield X, Y, or Z, say, for instance, it's a first down, and you get 4. This is how I figure expected points added generally works. If you get 4, you have helped your drive to continue to matriculate down the field. So you're basically around 0 on expected points added.
Well, it's dependent upon the situation, right? If it's 3rd and 13 and you get 4, that's not helping your EPA.
No, right.
But if it's 3rd and 4 and you're at the 35-yard line, that's going to give you a significantly better chance at putting points on the board. And so, yes, they have data from decades and decades of football, and they have calculated, okay, if you do this in this situation, that's going to help your team to this degree. And so, all that being said, he's been really, really good.
It's really good. No, but the numbers are helpful to try and articulate beyond yards, record, touchdown to interception. The eye test, I think everyone can really bypass the numbers and say, holy crap, some of these completions. But as the league continues to look at him and say, is there any stopping Drake Maye? I think the Cleveland Browns will say, you know what? We're going to increase the physicality. And we saw more hits on Drake Maye yesterday than we have really all season, and a couple of them during scrambles. Here's Mike Vrabel talking about Drake Maye and the responsibility and the onus on him to protect himself.
Making good decisions in the open field, and when you see one, there's another one coming, and so making sure that you get down and protect yourself and the equipment and everything else, and he will. And again, I just think that he wants to win so badly. He wants to be successful and just a complete package for us and a playmaker. It's just a fine line. It's a fine balance of I think he does a good job of getting through the pocket, and when it's not there, getting out and extending, and then just making a great decision and try to make sure that you don't have to beat everybody out there. You can just get down and take a 5 or 6 yard gain, or just be mindful of where you're at and how many guys are around you.
Additionally, when Mike Vrabel met with the media on Monday, he spoke about the protection that he saw up front for Maye and the hits that he took. And he had an interesting read that I had to include it because it's insightful.
We need to be able to block that and protect the quarterback. We have to be able to do that. And, a lot of really good pockets, and then there were some ones that weren't. I don't think there was anywhere in between yesterday. It was either we got a lot of time and we got a clean pocket, or we got beat on a game or a pressure, and that was, I guess, the story of the pass protection yesterday. It was either no pressure or pretty quick, immediate pressure, and we'll have to improve that.
Phil, if there's any stopping Drake Maye, teams haven't found it yet, so might as well whack him around. That's coming.
Well, you got to be careful with how you do that, though, because he has shown to this point in the season that if you decide to blitz him, if you want to try to speed him up, all the power to you. Just know there's a decent chance he finds where you aren't defensively, and he's going to complete a pass. He's second in the NFL right now, Tom, in completion percentage against the blitz, and he's first again in completion percentage over expected when blitzed. And I think that's in part because he is willing, as much as he scrambles, he is willing to stare down the barrel of the gun and take a shot every once in a while to complete a throw. And I think a good example from this past game was a throw along the sideline to Kayshon Boutte. It was into actually kind of a tricky little cover 2 look where it did not look like a too high safety look. They rotated into cover 2, and he was able to find Boutte on the left sideline on what kind of looked like a changeup, Tom. The thing was dying as it got to him because he got smacked in the face as he let it go. So he's able to handle what you're talking about and what you're suggesting defenses try to do. It just makes him a really difficult puzzle to solve, which is something you've pointed out in the past.
The receiver on that play, Kayshon Boutte, came back to the ball well, was pointed out on the telecast. These are the things that Kayshon Boutte does that he doesn't seem to have to be told to do. And I think there's a reluctance because he was a 6th-round pick and he ended up in Bill Belichick's doghouse early on to really look at him as a top-tier receiver. I'm not saying he's elite. I am going to say that his numbers are elite, though. Here first is Kayshon Boutte speaking after the game about the coverage that the Tennessee Titans engaged in on his long touchdown catch.
Just take us through what you saw on that play, on the touchdown play.
It's just we talked about it all week, really.
just launching the ball deep, and I think that was one of the opportunities we took. I say really lazy play from the cornerback and safety room on the Titan side of it. So, I mean, it's just a play we took advantage of, 2-minute situation trying to score before halftime so we could come back out and score after. So I think we did a good job. Great throw, great catch.
Absolutely never lacking for confidence. Kayshon Boutte, let's go inside the numbers a little bit. 20 catches for 356, 4 touchdowns. You might look at it and say, okay, well, he hasn't had enough receptions. That's going to project out to be about a 50-catch year. But look at this. Yards per reception, he's second in the league at 17.8. Length of reception, that means when he gets the ball, 16.75. So it's not a lot of yards after catch from him. But the second-place player in terms of yards per reception, Ricky Pearsall at 15.1. You see the graphic there for those of you watching. Ricky Pearsall, Marvin Harrison, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Egbuka, Devontae Adams, Jordan Addison, Jaden Waddle. And all of those guys, for instance, as you see Jaden Waddle at 10th, he's at 10.9 yards from length of reception, basically 6 yards behind Kayshon Boutte. The catch percentage of 80 is bizarre. The next wideout with a catch percentage over 80 is Devontae Smith. He is 29th in yards per reception. I mean, it's and Boutte is second in yards per reception.
Right. So it's the combination of the catch percentage and the depth of those receptions, which is really rare. I mean, Diggs has an incredible 88.6 catch percentage, but his yards per reception is closer to 12.
Chicken or the egg? Is Kayshon Boutte making, or at least helping, Drake Maye, specifically Kayshon Boutte, not good bulky wide receiver A, B, or C? Kayshon Boutte, is he a singular talent? Well, what the hell was that word? Is he a singular talent that is helping Drake Maye that you look at and say, no, it's not just any old receiver as the number 2 who's making downfield plays. It's that guy who's good at doing it.
It's a good question because his skill set is such that he and Drake Maye have a great thing going right now. It is a symbiotic relationship. Drake Maye is willing to throw it into tight coverage, and Kayshon Boutte is really good at making catches in tight coverage. And so who's more responsible? I still look at the quarterback.
Definitely.
And maybe that's unfair.
No, I think he's the chicken. Boutte's the egg.
Yeah. That's what I lean towards. Especially, and again, I think maybe the unfair part about that is we know that Kayshon Boutte's history is not to be a star receiver in the NFL, right? It doesn't mean he never could be. I know you were always a big fan of his game, but when Drake Maye suddenly catches fire and there's a receiver who also suddenly catches fire, you're probably looking at the guys who starts with the ball before you're looking at the guy who catches it.
The ironic thing is, though, if you look at yards per catch last year from Boutte at the end of the year when they started to heat up with Drake Maye, it was him.
Mm-hmm.
He has a backlog of performance that you can say that's who he is. This is not flash in the pan. This is not he's an afterthought and they're losing track of him. This is who Kayshon Boutte generally is. Will it stay that way forever? Is there a shoe in the air ready to drop? I don't know. Enjoy it while you can. Also, enjoy this. Rhamondre Stevenson breaking out just a little bit on Sunday. Here's Mike Vrabel talking about what led to a better Stevenson against the Titans.
I think the biggest thing, and again, we don't want to get lackadaisical at the sidelines or going to the ground or near the end zone. And, one thing you find is when guys make moves or do things that the ball can't come off their body. And so, again, it was about don't let ball security paralyze us, making sure that our O-line is getting into the combinations and making sure that the backs are doing a good job of getting into the line of scrimmage, and then just kind of, then you just have to run. But we can't sit there and we can't dance and wait, and we also can't just plot it up in there for 2 yards and think that's going to be enough either.
And that's from the Greg Hill Show early Monday morning. Vrabel talking about Stevenson. A lot of the stuff that we talked about last week with is he running hesitantly, and how does he find that balance? Looked like he did on Sunday.
I would say so. He, to me, was running in a much more physical manner, running through contact. I did find it funny. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the game again today, Tom, but there's a clip that I didn't notice upon first seeing it. After one of Stevenson's first runs, he gets knocked out of bounds. I think it was the 14-yard run on the first drive.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets knocked out of bounds, the right sideline, the Patriots sideline early in the game, and you can see Vrabel go right over to him, and I don't know what he says, but he does this, if you're watching us, with his arm and his hand tucked up against his chest. Like, make sure you're protecting that thing. Great run, but keep that thing nice and high and tight. And so maybe he just needs these constant little reminders. I do appreciate that about Vrabel. He's always coaching, and he's very efficient with his words to his players. It's very rarely, way to go, bud. It's if you come off the field after scoring a touchdown, hey, go thank your teammate because he's the one who sprung you with a good block. Or make sure you're protecting the football. Or if it's an offensive lineman, inside out, meaning we're starting from the inside and then you can protect from your outside from there. Like, I think he does a really good job of reminding these guys what's important.
And I think it matters, too, that he played in the league. Not in every single circumstance. You can have any coach who can coach a player up. Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time in the NFL. Players would take what he said. But if you come to the sideline after a good run and Mike's on you to do something, you say, oh, yeah, he knows how to knock a ball out. He knows how to handle a football, as he showed with his 10 touchdowns in the league on 10 receptions as a tight end. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk just a little bit, or maybe a lot more than that, about the Patriots' position in the AFC. A lot of people want to do 7-week coronations. I don't know why. The season's not over. It's not even Halloween. See you in a minute. Real important, folks. Welcome back. Real important to know exactly where the Patriots stand in the AFC in the hypothetical rankings after Week 7. So important that we decided to devote a massive argument about it during Post-Game Live, and I'm sure we'll be doing it all week. Where do they fit? Where are they? Are they second? Are they fourth? Are they first? Who knows? Let's talk about it.
Are the Patriots the best damn team in the AFC?
You stole my thunder. I think it is the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I think the Chiefs have found it in the last month, and they just got Rashee Rice back, who's supposed to be their best receiver, and Patrick Mahomes looks like prime Patrick Mahomes right now. So that would be the team. Just based on their history and based on the way they're playing right now, I would say the Chiefs you'd have to put at the top of the heap in the AFC. But I'm putting the Patriots right behind them. I'm not putting the Colts there. I'm not putting the Chargers there. I'm certainly not putting the Jacksonville Jaguars there after what we saw today, and not the Buffalo Bills. I would say the Patriots right now, as we sit here today, are the second best team.
I don't have to, and I don't want to.
Come on. Yes,
I
you
don't
do.
have to, and
It's
I
your
don't
job.
want
Yes, you
to.
do.
It's week flipping 7.
Okay.
They are
So
halfway,
give us
but
the
it's
week 7
seven.
assessment.
It's week 7.
assessment.
It's week 7 for
Cameras
Drake
on
Maye,
me,
too.
there's just voices from everywhere.
It's week 7 for Drake
Cameras
Maye,
on me.
too.
The voices are coming from everywhere. Let me just be the calm in the middle of the storm. They are 10 games into a 20-game schedule. 3 preseason games, 7 regular season games. Right now, you have a good checkpoint. But who cares if they're the best team in week 10 of a 20-game schedule?
What?
Who cares?
Okay.
Did you just say they're the best team?
Or second
Is
best.
that what you're saying? Is that
I
what
like
you're
what
saying?
you did there.
Right.
I like
To
what
me,
you did.
they've set themselves
I'm
up
listening.
to be in the conversation, to be there. Yeah, Kansas City's a better team. I'd like to see them, Buffalo, they beat them. Yay. How are they against them later in the season? What happens when they play any of these teams? Atlanta, the Buccaneers. So who cares if they're the best team on October 19th? I'm sorry.
Two things. First of all, in pregame, I hope you joined us in pregame. Phil Perry with the line of the day said to Tommy Curran, and Curran agreed. So you don't like fun. He said to Curran, you don't like fun. And Curran said, yes, I don't like fun. You don't like fun. Phil is right about you.
We have so much fun going on right now.
my life.
I'm the driver.
This is my life.
You don't like fun.
You guys do whatever you want in the back seat. I'm the driver. I'm keeping my hands attended to. I'm keeping the whole group safe.
You have.
Okay? I'm keeping everybody safe.
Whacking us on the knees every
Wait,
time we
so
suggest
wait
it's
a
a good
minute, the
idea to have a
guy-
conversation about which team's the best in the
The
conference.
guy, he writes a great column for NBC Sports Boston. Tom Curran. Told you he's been covering the Patriots since 1997. The Tom Curran Patriots Talk podcast. PGL talks football all the time. And now he wants us just to calm down. He's devoted his life
Are
to
they the
football
best
coverage.
team in the
And now
AFC? Who
he's
cares?
saying it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
I mean, do you want to be number 1 in the AP poll if you're a college
Yes.
football team on October 19th?
I do, because
no, you want
that
to
might
be there on
continue.
January 5th.
I no, but how about
20th,
both?
or whatever it takes. Now, I'll bring in one of my antagonists, Phil, in just a moment. But the bigger point, folks, is to be the best team in your division first, and they have a chance at that. Phil will be in for further rebuttal. But take a look at this. This is a Bills schedule remaining against the Patriots schedule remaining. And these are the teams over 500 that each team will face. The Bills will see the 4-3 Panthers. No, I didn't know that either. The 4-3 Chiefs, the 5-1 Bucks, the 5-2 Eagles, the 4-2 Steelers, and the 5-2 Patriots. Meanwhile, the Patriots have this litany of teams that are 500 or better: the Bucs and the Bills. That's it. So, Phil, I'm not going to budge at all. I am a bold stump. The better record doesn't mean you're a better team, but the division is sitting there. I don't really care if they're the best team, the second best team. I know it's fun. We have time to kill. But, it's irrelevant.
I mean, it's only here's the thing. It's only your job. That's all I would say. It's just your job. I'm going to try to do this in a calm voice. I'm just going to explain it to you that way. It's our job to have conversations about sports that people find interesting. And I think there are people out there who would find it interesting as to whether or not Tommy Curran, who's been covering the Patriots for 30 damn years, seen a lot of success, seen a lot of good football, knows a lot of football. I think they'd like to know how good he feels the team they're watching every week actually is. So they don't want to hear you say you don't care. They don't want to hear you talk down to them in that fashion because there's a large percentage of people out there who do care. Okay, Tom?
Not doing that.
They care. And I care about them. I just want them to know that.
I'm just trying to keep my hand on the wheel. As I said yesterday, I am the driver, and you guys are in the back throwing cans at me, and you want the music louder, and there's chaos, and I'm just trying to say, can we get there safely? No one cares what you're seeing out the window at this juncture. Just sit there, and we'll see where the car goes, because we're not even halfway there. Although we are halfway there, it's interesting. There's a 20-game schedule, folks. When you include preseason, there's 20 games. Patriots played 7 regular season, 3 preseason. The Patriots are at the midway point right now. I will say this. Maybe I'm a little bit dented from times in the past, in the recent past, when I proclaimed, why not us in 2021?
That's what I was going to say. Is this scar tissue from 2021?
It's win game affected. Because I remember sitting there and I said that the Patriots had just pushed the Bills face down and made them lick the petrified white turd on the playground. And i.e. Step Brothers.
Yeah, it's a good reference.
And there's still people from Buffalo who have been messaging and tweeting at me about the white turd licking. And I remain
Good for
chastened.
them.
So I'm not hearing a lot from the Miami people about the Tua Mac conversation right now. Be that as it may, they're in a good spot, bottom line, and they have a great chance to win the division, which would be so far beyond anybody's expectations.
No question. And listen, do they have a great chance? So I don't know if I agree with you necessarily. I know what you're saying about the schedule. I think the schedule gets harder for the Patriots. I think there are a few games on there that are maybe a little bit harder than I would have anticipated. I know the Falcons haven't been dynamite
about
of
their
late,
run defense a little bit.
but their defense isn't bad.
No, the
know?
Patriots.
Oh, the Patriots. Okay.
I'm a little worried. The numbers are great. They're number 2 in the league going into this weekend in terms of yards. We're going to get into it later when we have to talk about Kayshon. So I'll leave that for now. But I do have some trepidation about the run defense.
Well, and I think it's fair to have some trepidation about the defense, period, because the way they've opened some of these games has been a little sleepy. You know, this is a team that really wants to be aggressive, really wants to be attacking. That's what they want their identity to be. And it doesn't feel like they are that way early in games. And I don't know if it's because, you're anticipating getting a script, right? And you're anticipating maybe seeing some things that you haven't seen on film. And so you have to be a little bit more vanilla and maybe a little bit less aggressive because you're a little unsure of what's about to come your way early in these games on these scripts. But you have to figure out a way to combat that, in my opinion, and be that aggressive defense that you have been for really most of the season, but they just have these early blips in games where it feels like they just are way too permissive. So you're totally not wrong in wondering about their defense. I just would say I'm not giving them the division just yet.
Okay, fair. And Mike Vrabel, for one, agrees with you that the blips need to be eliminated. Here's Mike talking about some of those early start travails on the Greg Hill Show.
And we just have to do a better job, early on of settling in quickly and being aggressive and having a play style, no matter what the call is, about finishing drives and then defensively being able to, you have to have a little disruption. You can't make it look like it's their Friday move the field practice. And, we'll have to do a better job of that, of trying to disrupt their timing and flow early on defensively. And then we'll have to be able to finish drives offensively.
So as the Patriots try to sort through that, next opponent is the Cleveland Browns. Here's the Browns' game-by-game results so far this season. You see they lost to the Bengals on a tight one, 17-16, blasted by the Ravens, surprised the Packers, blasted by the Lions, edged by the Vikings, and Carson Wentz losing to the Steelers, at the Steelers, and then just absolutely pantsing, performing a vivisection on the Miami Dolphins. Let's stick with it. You want to know about the defensive rankings for that team that the Patriots are about to play? Drake Maye is going to go against the number one defense in the league in terms of yards per game at 256. Yards per play, 4.54. Those are good. Rushing yards rushing average per carry, way down there, 3.26. That's first in the league. And passing yards per game, third. They're just allowing 37.7 on the conversions. So the Browns have a good defense. Let's go flippy-floppy. Look at the offense. Yards per game, they're 30th. Yards per play, they're 31st. Yards per attempt, they're 28th, even with Queen on your hand. Yards per attempt, 4.7 in the passing game. That's going to bring you in at 32. And their third down percentage offensively is at 35%, 27th in the league. Biggest concern, Phil, with a team like this?
It's the defense, and it's Jim Schwartz, and it's Myles Garrett. It's, they have some real talent on that side of the ball, but it starts with that guy. He's a freak. This is going to be a big-time test for Will Campbell. Likes to rush off that offensive left side. And so how does it work? What's it look like? Because he's played well, in my opinion. I don't know if Tennessee was one of his best games, but he's played well enough that we never talk about Will Campbell. And we never talk about him really being a problem. Will he be a problem potentially? It wouldn't be the first good left tackle to have a problem against Myles Garrett. He is that freaky. But that's where it starts for me.
See, and this is why I say things like I did about, second best team in the AFC. We invest time in talking about things that later on are rendered completely mother-scratching moot. Like all the time we invested in Will Campbell's arm length and the fact that he's ultimately going to be kicked in to be a guard. And maybe that'll happen still. But for God's sake, Patriots haven't allowed a running back to gain 50 yards all year. The only team in 2025 that has not surrendered 50 yards to a running back through the first 7 games. It is the first time in team history that has occurred. Last season, Baltimore, the Ravens, they didn't allow a 50-yard rusher for the first 7 weeks of the season. Longest streak since the merger. That happened after Joe Namath in 69. It's 10 by Tampa Bay in 2020, which brings us to Queen on your hand. All right, for those people of a certain age who understand that, and I wasn't playing Worlds of Warcraft, but my kids would say Leroy Jenkins enough because they were. It was one of the first viral things to go viral. It's a long story. We went through it on Sunday. We don't have to do it again. But their entire offense, Phil, is Quinshon Judkins and their tight ends Harold Fannin and David Njoku. Judkins has 467 of the team's 648 on the ground, 5 of their 6 touchdowns on the ground, 5 times more carries than anyone else. And the tight ends have 55 of the 157 catches that Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco. Has anybody else thrown it for them yet?
I think that's it.
Those guys have thrown. So they're fairly impotent offensively. And I don't think a little blue pill is going to help them.
I don't think so either. This would be a game where if you were worried about the Patriots tackling between Judkins and the 2 tight ends, those guys can be slippery, hard to bring down, especially in the open field, then maybe that would be a concern of yours. I think the Patriots tackling has been much better. Remember when that was a conversation through the first couple of weeks, and rightfully so? They have been much, much better, and the numbers would suggest it as well in terms of the yards after contact that they have not allowed, especially after those first couple of weeks of the season. So I think they match up perfectly fine with the Browns' offense. It's just, to me, a question of when you're going up against one of the best pass rushers in football, that means, generally speaking, your defense can be freed up to do a lot of things because Drake Maye, in all likelihood, isn't going to be able to just sit back there in the pocket for 3.5, 4 seconds at a time and launch it down the field. Now, maybe they could do what they've done, the Patriots, the last few weeks, which is have a lot of plays where they're max protecting Tom and they're keeping, 7, 8 guys in just to block. This past week, the Boutte touchdown, they got great chips on the end of the line from both Hunter Henry and Rhamondre Stevenson to give Drake Maye all that time that he had. So You're going to continue to do those things. Josh McDaniels is going to have to find a way to try to neutralize that guy, but I'm not all that worried about the Browns' offense, and I don't think the people at home should be either.
You know what's interesting is when you talk defensively about the teams the Patriots have faced in terms of their defensive players, it'll be Myles Garrett this week. This week, Jeffrey Simmons got injured. He was kind of a non-factor. Saints had Cam Jordan. Was Demario Davis on the field against the Patriots?
He was, I believe.
Okay, rendered a little bit moot. The Steelers and T.J. Watt and the Raiders and Max Crosby, their game records have not wrecked games on them, really, as yet. Am I right in that?
I mean, nobody's wrecked. I would say the Steelers' edge guys were pretty good in that game. It was Nick Herbig, I believe, who had a nice day. Again, working up against Will Campbell. But he's a much different type of rusher than Myles Garrett. There's nobody. I mean, just look at the guy, Tom. I mean,
it's bizarre. I remember seeing him in his.
Makes me sweat just thinking about it.
Seeing his Under Armour shirt when he had just come into the league. Brady was still here. It must have been like 2019. I'm like, my God, it's a superhero build. It's an AI looking build. It's beyond superhero. Which Phil and I, as you look here and look, and you probably think that to yourself sometimes. Speaking about super heroic performances, Phil has the breakdown. You saw it. It was with Brian Hoyer. Make sure that you enjoy the replays because I'm sure there'll be several. Also, the next Pats podcast, we will see you again later in the week with Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. We get some irrelevant question candidates that we think you're going to enjoy. Have a great week.